What's good? What's good, guys? Welcome to the MLEC Harbinger Breakdown. It's your big host, Kelcey. It's your little host, Jeremiah.
Your other co-host, Jeremiah.
And today, we are talking about testing. Hey, guys. April's here. May's almost on the way. Testing season is officially here.
Starting. It's officially started.
Officially here, officially started, mean the same thing. But look, yesterday, me, Jeremiah, just took an ACE test along with main sophomores.
General paper.
General paper. What's your opinions on that? You think you passed?
I feel like the sophomore class really overhyped the general paper test. I feel like
Overhyped it?
yeah.
Explain it.
It wasn't as bad as we thought it would be. Like,
explain it in your own words.
all right, so basically we thought the prompts were gonna be like, oh, so very vague, and you had to use all these real world statistics and real world examples and stuff like that. But the test was actually like pretty similar to the mock test that Swazo had already gave us, so it was familiar.
Dr. Swazo is our general paper teacher.
Yeah. So it was really familiar and easy to actually do. Easier than we thought it would be.
Yes, but I just realized you can't talk about the actual content of the test.
Oh yeah.
So, just leave it at that. If you're taking general, well, you already took it. But if you took general paper, you know how easy it actually was. But that brings us to our first point, which you kind of like danced around it a little bit.
Yeah.
But you didn't like do the deep dive into it, which is the stress of testing.
Yes.
Before general paper, it was a take a child work day. We were like the only kids in the entire school. So of course it was stressful. The bus had like 4 kids on it for me.
My bus had three students.
It was a very depressing and gloomy day. But yet, we still had to show up. I remember the cafeteria in the morning for breakfast.
It was like a total of like 30 people.
Yes, we were so stressed out, Turns out, you walk in that test, it was easy. But, I got a question for you, Big Jerry Bear. What do you think, why do you think we are so stressed when it comes to testing?
I feel like it was because it was our first ACE test. Like, we were preparing all year for our first ACE test, and these tests determine if we get our ACE diploma or not. So I feel like that was very stressful, because if you didn't do good on this test, it would be a chance that you wouldn't get your ACE diploma.
So that's why. So in other words, right? You're saying we're stressed out because we don't want to fail.
Yes.
But don't you think that's common sense? I feel like there's something deeper.
What do you think?
What I think, right, is the deeper thing is it's not just failure, it's validation.
Right.
Think about it. If I'm gonna use that example, right?
Right.
Last year you took AP World History.
Okay, bro. Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Sorry to put your business out there, but you failed. Right?
Right.
Did you tell people you failed?
Yeah.
No, you didn't.
I didn't tell you?
No, I had to figure it out.
I told them that I did fail. I did tell them.
I had to interrogate him for him to tell me he failed. Meanwhile, other people who got 4s and 5s, they didn't care. They walked up to you, they said, hey, I got 4, I got 5. Why? They want the validation. They want to be validated that they passed and other people failed, like Jeremiah.
He's not wrong.
So I think the stress is more of, if I fail, they won't look at me as high as if I pass. It's not really failure in general, because think about like grades. There are people who are failures and get straight F's and D's. But when it comes to tests, they still stress.
Yeah.
So that's just my opinion on it.
I do agree with that, because high school is a very social oriented place. So like, you look for the validation in your other like classmates and students and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel you.
You feel me?
Yeah.
You feel me, cuz? Alright. That brings us to the next point, Jeremiah Thomas.
Yes.
How do we study before a test?
Study tips, basically.
Yes. Word for word I said.
I feel like
Study tips.
in general, studying like the day before the test is very hit or miss, like 50-50. You can study before the test and like gain some new knowledge. Oh, I forgot about this, and then you just refresh your memory. But then there's this other aspect. Oh, you're just reloading your brain with all this new information that you already knew, and you're just repeating it, and it's like you can forget the simplest things, right? Mm-hmm. So just dumping the information into your brain, I feel like it's a hit or miss.
So, would you say, Jeremiah, you personally, are you a crammer who studies last minute? Or do you study over time, starting in January, knowing the test in April?
Me personally, I feel like I'm a crammer. Like, that works for me, right?
I can, because you felt AP World, so like, I don't know if the cramming really works.
I don't think they need to hear that again. Okay.
No, I'm just saying, like,
yeah, right.
You say you're a crammer and it works, but we have evidence that it
works.
didn't work.
No, I didn't cram.
Know what you did?
I didn't study at all for AP World.
But Jeremiah, we have like video evidence of you in Miss Daniel classroom.
I wasn't studying. I was playing. We were playing Jeopardy. We were doing quizzes and stuff. We were talking.
But what's that Jeopardy about?
I wasn't studying personally.
So you was wasting your time.
Yeah, I think that's why I fell.
That's why.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. You see me, I crammed and I got 3, which
Right.
isn't a high score,
Right.
but I still passed.
Right.
Something I feel like I could have done different though was studying since January. I feel like if I studied since January, I definitely would have got 4 on the test.
Like the information over time, so it actually like sticks.
Yeah. So we just have examples of someone who didn't study, someone who crammed. But what about someone? What do you think? Do you know someone who studied since January to take the test and make?
I do. I don't know if we can name drop. Can you name drop?
What's her?
Rebecca.
She's journal. Yeah.
All right. So Rebecca Funes, she has these big like poster boards. She buys poster boards, right? And then she puts them on her wall and puts down a bunch of information right in front of her bed. So every time she wakes up in the morning, she looks at it and studies every morning and every day when she comes back to school. That's someone I know that studies a lot. And what did she get on the AP Road? A 4.
I don't know. She got. Yeah,
She got a 4. That's someone that I know that studied a lot, like in a span of time, not just crammed. And then they actually had a good score. So for some people it works, like I said, 50-50. It could work for you, it couldn't.
And that is just proof that don't cram and definitely don't study. You gotta study. Studying it's a long process. If you have a test next week and you didn't study yet, sorry to say it, but you're probably good. Meanwhile, what you should have done was start from January and start studying so you wouldn't be as good. But we didn't really dive deeper into the surface. What are methods of studying? So let's say I told you, study for this quiz.
Right.
What are you going to do?
I feel like it depends on the test. So like, let's use AP World. AP World and let's say Pre-Cal, right? Pre-Cal has a lot of formulas and things you need to do, but that's not really like definition-based testing. But AP World, that's information you need to memorize and definitions you need to memorize. So I feel like for AP World, you flashcards. Flashcards would work really well to like the repetition of ideas. But for Pre-Cal, like writing it down and doing like mock questions over and over, like different types of questions again and again and again, but different types of questions. I feel like that will work better for math. But memorization-based tests, I feel like flashcards will work.
Flashcards.
What do you think?
So my method of studying is pretty simple. I make a study guide.
Right.
So for a test I have, ACE Environmental Management, what I did was I read the syllabus and everything I didn't know by heart, I wrote down. So my plan is to just read over that study guide every day, and then I'll memorize what I didn't know. That's for the stuff I already knew. There's no point writing it down and studying again because I already knew it.
Right.
For example, photosynthesis. We learned that since elementary. There's no need to studying that again.
Yeah. And I also feel like the mock exams really help. Because it tells you like the format the questions are going to be on the real test. It tells you what they're specifically looking for, what explanations these tests are specifically looking for in a mock exam. So I think those are really important as well.
Mock exams. Speaking of mock exams, a lot of teachers give mock exams.
They do.
But a sad reality we live in, it's a cheating world. And students just don't cheat on mock exams. They cheat on the real test. So you want to give a PSA to students who are planning on cheating?
This is a PSA for like mostly ACE tests and state standardized tests.
All tests. All tests.
Yeah, all tests, but in particular standardized state tests. Those, if you get caught cheating on those, like the PSAT, your credits could be invalidated, and even your college acceptance. Like if you cheat in college, you can get kicked out of college. So like in general, do not cheat on tests. If you don't know the information, try your hardest and do like write down what you know and try your best educated guess. Don't cheat, because then you're just messing everything up.
Listen, I'd rather fail knowing I tried than pass knowing I cheated. How about you?
I feel the same.
So, but why do students cheat?
Going back into it, I feel like a lot of students are pressured by their parents. Like nowadays, parents are very, there's little teenagers that are getting into college and stuff. That parents see that on
social
Facebook.
media?
Yeah, social media is a big part of that.
He went to college like 15, I think.
Yeah, social media is a big part of that because parents see this and be like, oh, my kid can do that. So they compare you to these unrealistic standards of going to college when you're 13, right?
Yeah.
And then, if you get a bad grade, you're not performing to your best of your abilities when you actually are trying. So kids feel like, they don't want to get bad grades or do bad on the test to disappoint their parents. So like, whatever I got to do to pass this test, I'm going to do it, even if it comes to cheating. I feel like that's the mindset kids have right now.
That ties back to my point of validation.
Yeah.
How kids They don't care about like learning the material no more. They just want to feel validated for their
Yeah.
success. But also, we also gotta realize, for kids that don't cheat, they're still stressed, as you said earlier.
Yeah,
Why? Because tests have a negative connotation to it.
they do.
Now, what's your opinion on it? Because I feel like we have different opinions.
I feel like
Yay or nay for tests? Are they good for students?
I feel like yay for tests because they, as in the name, they test your ability to know the curriculum to like a certain extent. You might know this, like like you said, photosynthesis, but eutrophication. Well, eutrophication is another part of environmental. Not gonna go into that.
That don't really match with photosynthesis.
Yeah, but you might know photosynthesis, but a different part of the test, like eutrophication, you might not know.
Yeah.
So like a test determines what you do and not know, so teachers know what to help you with. Like the tests, like the PM3s and the PM2s for reading and writing, that helps you. That can help the teachers determine what you need help with to do better and better. So I feel like, yeah, tests are really needed. What do you feel?
Well, I agree that we need a test because if you don't have a test, you can't know like where a student's knowledge is at.
Right.
But I feel like summarizing one big course into one test isn't a good idea.
Yeah.
I still feel like we should do progress checks, similar to what we did in middle school at iReady. How they would just give you stuff, like we was in middle school, they would give you like high school material. If you knew it, good for you. If you didn't, well, it doesn't matter. You're not supposed to know it anyway. And at the end of the iReady test, they gave you a score, what grade level you're on. I feel like that's the type of test you should take. Why? Well, I took iReady test, and I don't know about you. There was no pressure. I was not stressed for an iReady test. But at the same time, it's still testing my knowledge the same way an ACE test or an AP test would. And it still gave you a score to what capacity your brain could handle.
Yeah. And it tells you what areas you might need help in. So, if you're bad at memorizing the definitions of words, that shows up on the test. And now, the teachers know, work with him closer with the definition of words, vocabulary. And that will actually help you excel rather than not taking the test and not getting that information.
Exactly. So, if I was governor of, who controls education? The state or the country?
I think this is the Board of Education. The Board of Education.
Is that statewide? Nationwide?
Yeah.
I don't trust the description.
Florida Department of Education.
Oh, Florida Department. Yeah, you're right. Florida. FAS. It stands for Florida, something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if I was the governor of Florida, here's what I would do. 3 tests throughout the school year, but not big major tests. Similar to the FAS, but a bit different. The first test, let's say you're in 9th grade, it'll give you 9th grade stuff, 8th grade stuff, and 10th grade stuff, right? Let's say you scored in the 10th grade level already. Congratulations, you're done for the year. Let's say you scored in 9th grade level though, we want you to get by 10th grade end of the year.
Yeah.
So middle of the year, you take another test.
Right.
Let's say you score on 9th grade level again. Then now you got a final test that might be stressful because at that test you gotta be 10th grade level. But I feel like if you're at 10th grade, for example, in the FAST test, not to flex on it, but every time I did a FAST test, I got a 5.
Yeah.
I don't feel like if I got a 5 at the beginning of the year, I should take it again at the end of the year. Because I'm not gonna say it's impossible, but like it's very unlikely that a person could get dumber over the year. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I know what you're trying to say.
So if I got 5 at the beginning of the year, it's a good chance I'm at 5 level now.
Yeah. But that also ties in, like, what if the student crammed the day before that test where they got a 5? Oh, I got a 5, now I'm just gonna forget about all the information I learned yesterday. Right? Testing them is making sure they retain that knowledge. Like, testing them over and over again is making sure they retain it and keep that information.
But in terms of the FAS, right, there's nothing to really study for, It really is just testing your brain power. So there's no cramming you have to do for the FAS test.
You're alright.
Yeah, that's like I say, I'm right.
Yeah, like, I get what you're trying to say, but like other tests, like the pre-calc test, like what is another test we take multiple times a year?
None.
The best test, the PM3, PM1, PM2,
That's
PM3.
fast.
Well, same thing. You can get, I know some people that score lower on the second one than they did in the first one. And score lower on the third one than they did in the second one.
That's why I feel like if you do good in the first one and get a 10th grade level, we're 10th grade, so you got an 11th grade level when you're in 10th grade, you should be done for the year. Especially in a subject like reading. Because reading, there's nothing to forget. You know what I'm saying? Where I see your point when it comes to like math or science and stuff like that. Because it is possible to cram, For example, AP World for me. Don't ask me the same question about AP World History because
You forgot it.
Yeah. Why? Once the test is over, I threw away my binder. I gave my teacher my book. It was GG's. It was over.
Forgot about it.
Yeah. So, in that case, I understand your point. So here's my compromise.
Right.
Beginning of the year, you take a test, right? Let's say you're on a 10th grade level. Middle of the year, you don't take one. At the end of the year, everybody got to take one, right? To determine if you're on a 10th grade level, if you're a freshman, or if you're on a grade level above your grade level currently.
Right.
That's my compromise.
Yeah, I feel like that will work if there is balance between it. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Define balance.
Like a balance between a right amount of tests to where the student isn't overwhelmed, but like again, not too little where they just forget it once they finish the test.
Yeah, because I definitely don't agree with 3 fast testing.
Yeah, maybe like 2.
And with ACE testing, I'm not gonna say nothing about ACE because they determine my life, but it is very stressful.
Yeah.
Well, you got anything else to say?
Nah, I think
We
we're
covered
good.
everything about testing.
Yeah.
So good luck, guys, high schoolers, middle schoolers, elementary schoolers, whoever watching this.
Good luck on your ACE tests, AP exams,
Regular
everything.
tests, who cares? You're gonna do well. Just tap into your brain power, plus ultra, all my style, and that's it. That's the breakdown of testing. The
Harbinger breakdown.
boom.